Nigeria, and welcome to TMI this morning on ITV. Now, it's just some minutes past 7 right here in Nigeria, and across Lagos, Abuja, and here in Benin, we're going to be taking a look at critical issues that are shaping our current and political space right here in Nigeria. We ask the critical questions and give the resolving answers right here on the program. I am Chukwufumnanya Digwe, talking to you live right here in our Benin Network Center. I'm not doing this alone as usual. I have the very insightful, seasoned Dr. Sonny Duke Okosun this wonderful morning. I also have Anu Oluwapo Stevens here in the studio. It's still the season of love. I would say that just on Saturday it was Valentine's Day, and we're still spreading love. Good morning, Dr. Sonny Duke.
Good morning, Chukwufunaya. Good morning, Anu.
Good morning.
I'm blessed amongst ladies this morning. Still in the season of Valentine, even though it's on scriptural, but it's just one day people look forward to celebrate love, express love, and do some of those lofty things in appreciating God for the gift of life. I saw a video that got my attention. I think it was on TikTok. A young man bought a car of 24 million naira and proposed to a young lady on Valentine's Day, and the young lady turned him down, and it was as though the ground should open so the guy will enter and just disappear. And those are some of the things you see around Valentine. Then I also saw someone talking about the fact that don't live your life with the narratives that you have on social media. Some are saying if your man doesn't gift you something spectacular to celebrate Valentine, run away from him, leave him. And the young lady was saying, look, you just may have the opportunity of having a good man, but because you were not really well brought up, or you didn't allow the right values to guide your thinking and your action, you lose that man. Because what is Valentine after all? If that is the basis of measuring what love is, then of course you really don't understand what true love is. So we saw all of this on social media, people saying if your man doesn't take care of you today or doesn't gift you something, it's not worth being with.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, continuing from where he stops, I honestly feel that Valentine is as special as Christmas.
Yeah.
It's as special as the New Year's celebration, especially because it's for lovers. It's worn in a lifetime, like once every single year. Yeah, and even if I also believe that Valentine should be celebrated every single day as partners, as lovers, wherever you find yourself. But then again, as regards the gift, there are several love languages. So my love language could be acts of service, physical touch and all of that. And then I expect my partner to understand and give me what I want. So it might not be gift, but it's also part of it. Yeah, so just to, corroborate with what you said, but Valentine is really special on social media and offline. We saw a lot of persons celebrating different way and in different means. And also we did see some persons going to look for their partners, meanwhile their girlfriend were elsewhere, and that actually sparked a lot of reactions, and just to make the fun and the cruise out of it.
All right, yes, and I do personally think that, like you did talk about love languages just now, you should show me love on that special day in the way that I feel loved. So It could be gifts and all of that. And when people, get mad at their partners for not showing love in the way that they should, I think it goes beyond just expectations, but wanting to feel that way from the person that you're with. And if your person feels like you're important to them, they should also...
Yeah, but I think somehow there's a lot of materialistic disposition in all of this. If you're not showing that love materialistically, with the gifts, with the what have you, then it means that you're not doing enough.
That their partners were absolutely absent on that day.
Yeah, that's part of the conversation that we're having, that emphasis should not be placed on, it must be that you present a gift or you present something. She talked about, you know, leveraging on the love language, that spouses should have that understanding. But where you have a situation wherein some of our Gen Zs are saying, oh, if you don't make a gift available, if you don't buy me stuff, if you don't do this, it means that, you know, you're not expressing it the way it ought to be. And that seems to be a big, big challenge for the society that we live in today. There are several ways you can express your love and show how much you appreciate your spouse, but going through that route where it must be that you have a gift to present. I mean, if you don't have one today, you may have tomorrow. In any way, in any case, in a situation wherein there is an established relationship, you can express this every day, every time, and any time, just like Auntie Anu talked about.
Oh my God. Well, absolutely. But also to chip in something, I honestly believe that where there is a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Just in case a partner is in America or in Lagos, whatever place you are, you can DHL stuffs. And even the good book says...
DHL stuff.
Yes, definitely.
You must DHL stuff. You must DHL stuff.
Of course, because even the good book says loved and he gave it. So that, yeah, when you love, you definitely give. You cannot say you love someone and you don't give. But just to put it out there, there's several ways of giving at the end of the day.
To give us hearts,
yeah,
because it's a way of expression of your love.
And you know, it's always the women or the ladies who are most favored. Moments like this, they get all the gift, and then all they can think of doing is singlets and boxers and stockings that they package and they give to their
Women
men.
are now giving car gifts. Lands, houses, and all of
Okay,
that.
very, very rare. Very, very rare. Very, very rare.
And
very
just
rare.
to allow our other network centers weigh in on this conversation, I do have my colleagues standing by in Lagos and also in Abuja. Let me start from Mercelina Nkwo. Good morning to you, Mercelina. How's it in Lagos this morning?
Lagos has been checked. Good morning, Joseph Kadiri. Good morning, Sandeji Kokosu, and good morning, Anu Oluwapo. Lagos is beautiful. Lagos is good. I've been hearing conversation about Valentine. I was just on my bed, you know, scrolling on social media. I mean, I didn't go out for dates for lovers. Scrolling on social media, and I saw a lot of things. Dr. You made mention of something now, and it said that it favors women. I wouldn't say, okay, maybe I would support them in a kind of way, but at the same time, women now are also gifting, like Chikum Funaya said, they're gifting cars, houses, not just, boxes. And I saw the video of the lady that they proposed to with a car. And she rejected the guy, and the guy collected the car, and a lot of persons were like, oh, they were applauding the guy that, well done. I mean, you don't want to accept his proposal, and you want to accept the car, and they collected a lot of things eventually happen that day. But it's for lovers, not just for boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife. It's also for you to show love to people around you, your parents, your siblings, and all of that. I mean, in Lagos here, I wouldn't say it was just the social media because I didn't step out of the house. But basically from Lagos, we would be looking from Lagos this morning. We'll be talking about the deadly attack in Niger State that just happened that sparked national outrage. We saw that at least 32 died after a gunman attacked 3 communities in Niger State. Our main focus, the growing wage violence in Niger is what it's mean during other landscape. So that is basically what we'll be talking about from this table today in Lagos. So we'll be having a political analyst that would analyze to this topic.
All right, thank you so much, Mercelina, for your take on the Valentine's celebration and also your insights on what you'll be having today in Lagos. And now to you, Joseph Kadiri. Good morning from here. Good morning, and tell me, how's it in Abuja, this season of love, and what do you have for us this morning?
All right, a very good morning. All. Well, you know, the celebration of Valentine, in my opinion, is personalized. It's a personalized celebration because if you have to, what is your relationship may just keep rock. If you think Mr. A gift his girlfriend or his wife, you know, a set of jewelry, and you're expecting that that relationship may just come to an end. And so, since I believe that it is a personalized celebration, what people should do or has done, how we see it here in Abuja, that those that have the means, those whose disposable income permits them to gift their partner, they do that. Those who don't have it and want to stay at home, like just chill at home. In fact, it was just discussed and was it. And we have seen situations whereby for the ladies, some say the sensible ladies, on Valentine's Day, what they want is not even gift. Those that are in a relationship will say, put a ring on the finger, and that is just what she's expecting on that day of Valentine. So the celebration varies from person to person, and of course it's a personalized celebration. And then what we intend to do on the discussion for today is to look at the preparedness of INEC, our political parties, voters ahead of the area council election. No, INEC is not empowered to conduct local government election in other states, but in Abuja it's area council election. It is only empowered to do so in the FCT, where you have the 6 area councils. So INEC, most time, not all the time, conducts area council election. And we have seen that most time you don't have one party clinch all the area council. You see different parties coming up, you know, winning the election at different area councils. So we hope that this one will likely be the same, because it is conducted by the electoral umpire, unlike what we see at state level, where if the governor is the party A, it means all the political parties will be declared winner in such a state. But in FCT, it's different. So we look at our turnout. I expect the election first this Saturday.
All right, now just before we head on to our next segment, which happens to be the newspaper review segment, let's banter on something that's very, very critical to democracy in Nigeria, and it's a very significant development when it comes to 2027 polls. The notice of the scheduling of the elections. We have February 20 proposed for the presidential and NAS elections, and we have March 6 proposed for state and other elections. Now there's talk, as would be. One is that there is still the debate on the electronic transmission, and it also kind of coincides with Ramadan, the holy month. So there's a lot of this conversation coming out there. Let's just have your views.
I mean, it's the responsibility of INEC to fix the dates for elections according to the Electoral Act, I think Section 28, and the relevant subsections. And the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopitan, has come out to, you know, give the timetable, because that's what the Constitution provides. At least 360 days before the tenures of those elected expires, elections would have been conducted. And if you look at the timetable, I think for the presidency or the president, that will be around May, all right? And then for the National Assembly members, around June. So that needed to be sorted out so that preparations can really be in the right direction in pushing for that election success. But I think the most concerning part of the election what modes is INEC going to use to transmit election results. We saw all the debates and all the conversations, what eventually the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, did in ensuring that, INEC still have the prerogative as to what to do and how they want to do it. And that's a critical challenge, because in the last general election, we saw a situation wherein in the National Assembly elections, results of elections were transmitted electronically from the various units where the elections took place. It was during the presidential election that all the manafiki, all the manipulations and what have you came into force. But people are also concerned that you're having National Assembly election and the presidency election on the same day. That is something that is going to be more of it will favor certain people. But whatever you look at it, people will always complain. I think the complaint we should be having is the conversation we should be having has to be on us having a free, fair, credible election. And that just is beyond INEC alone. It's everybody's collective responsibility.
Absolutely. So many things to talk about on this plate. And it's interesting to see how we are still, here at this point. There's been a bit of back and forth as regards the Electoral Act 2026. Of course, we know that is still on, and the president needs to assent before it is even passed. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, we saw INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopito, come out to say, hey, I'm waiting on you guys. We need to set up the timetable so that we'll move ahead from this place. And this is where we are. Interestingly, last week he released the timetable for the 2027 general election. And afterwards, we saw that the Senate and the House of Reps has come out to say we're going to have an emergency reconvening of plenary session come tomorrow, because so many things to talk about and address. Are we going to be seeing an extension of the presidential polls date? Take you back to 2019 in Nigeria, where we had election being postponed and re-postponed twice during the the former president, Goodluck Jonathan administration. And this is where we are. So many things to talk about. I honestly want to believe that another major point is as regards education, because most people are really not educated enough that the populace as regards the electronic transmission of results, IREV, and other interesting conversations to come up within this period of time. And of course, we're looking forward to all of the twists and turns.
Definitely, we're looking forward to the twists, the turns, the ups and the downs of, the 2027 polls. Yes, this is still TMI on the ITV network, where headlines meets perspective. We'll take an intermission now, after which we'll go into the newspaper review segment. Don't go away.
ITV.
back. This is still This Morning on ITV on the ITV network. And now we're in our newspaper review section where we get to take a look at the major headlines in our national dailies. And now to begin, we start with This Day newspaper. That's the first point of call. And we have one story of interest there, which says Adamawa's Fintiri set to join APC, making 30 states. Grand reception for Kano governor today. Now that story is on page 9 of This Day newspaper.
Yeah, of course, the defection, cross-carpeting will continue unabated. And that's something that has been of huge concern to a lot of people. Is Nigeria gradually moving into a one-party state? Is a question and answer section for another day. But now we'll look at what the papers are saying. Our next port of call is the New Telegraph. What are the top stories there? Terror war. First batch of U.S. troops, military aircraft touched down in Nigeria is on the New Telegraph newspaper. You'll find that story there on pages 4, 28 and 29. Other interesting stories there on the New Telegraph. NBS, FDI inflows surge 123.5% to $565.2 million. States' failure to publish approved budget raises concerns is also on the New Telegraph. You find out on page 20. More stories for you. Reps emergency plenary. Real-time transmission sits for women top agenda. Begins probe of non-release of 174.26 billion naira agri funds. You find that story on page 2 and 26. Why Oberawori dedicated 175 billion naira to grassroots development, over 16 billion naira to healthcare by Aniago. Obito Nigerians stopped addressing looters as excellencies, honorables, urges citizens to join him to rescue Nigeria. You'll find that on page 2 and 26. NLC demands end to power privatization, says 3 trillion naira Genco bailout, election rules. More on these stories if you got a copy of the New Telegraph. Let's move on to our next paper for review.
Away from that, the Nigerian Tribune is up next with the major headline saying NLC demands new power sector roadmap. Subwriter says calls for national stakeholders summit, says 10 years after privatization, Nigeria still in darkness. Queries federal government's plan to pay 3 trillion naira to Gencos. Reiterates its condemnation for banned dichotomy. Insists electricity not a luxury for the rich. All of this and more on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune today. Well, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria Tax Act 2025 does not impose 20-25% on building materials. Who is speaking? Oyedele debunks Amaechi's claim on page 7. I feel like the unofficial politicking period has started already, and we saw Amaechi over the weekend say something as regards this, and the person in charge of the tax reform committee is debunking it, and I feel we're going to see more moving forward. We're still on the Nigerian Tribune on page 3. Alleged imported toxic chemicals. Ribadu replies El Rafai. Away from that, other interesting headlines this morning. 2027 election timetable. Electoral bill top agenda as Senate representatives reconvene tomorrow. Subwriter says KDI tackles Senate over removal of 10-year disqualification for vote buying. On page 27, details on the story. PDP Labour Party missing as INEC releases Osun governorship candidates details. Subwriter says PDP lawmakers adopt Accord Party endorsed Adeleke on page 22. Economists lock horns over utility of money as INEC proposes 873.78 billion naira election budget on page 12. And finally, on the Nigerian Tribune this morning, proviso to real-time e-transmission of polling unit results, why majority of legislators may not return in 2027. Mike Igini has that to say on page 24. Well, that's all for the Nigerian Tribune today.
Okay, looks like we have Dr. Dan Haraifo, our guest reviewer, the head of Mass Communication Department, University of Benin. Dr. Dan, good to have you join us on the program, and happy Valentine. Take a look at some of the papers we have reviewed this morning, the Telegraph, and then of course we also had the Nigerian Tribune. Give us your take on some of the issues highlighted in those papers. The war on terror is a major issue, with the U.S. loading men, materials and equipment into Nigeria. You want to take it up from there, Dr. Dan?
Thank you very much. Happy Val's Day to you, though in areas. The reality about our national life is that while we think the war against terrorism is gaining traction, with what you saw in Niger State over the weekend, one will say more needs to be done. The partnership between Nigeria government and United States government is such that equipment are needed. Although we are not privy to the nature of the agreement, like the Defense Headquarters has said, that the agreement is on technical cooperation. It's not that the U.S. forces are coming to fight directly. If we take that to be true, and the right equipment are deployed, the government attempt at tackling terrorism, we may gain the victory sooner than later. That is what I will say to that. So the other issue is what transpired over the weekend between El-Rufai and the immigration or DSS. They are all part of the security issues about our national life. If you follow the trajectory of elections over the years, you realize that there's always a deliberate attempt to create a high level of insecurity, either to disparage the ruling government or to make the citizens feel there's something wrong with the government in power. So some of the steps the current government is taking is to dip some of those strategies in the board so that we will not have escalated insecurity as we prepare for 2027 general elections.
Much for your disposition on those issues, Dr. Dan. Now, for us to take our final headline this morning on the segment, we have Leadership newspaper. Now, the major headline there is on the 2027 polls, and it says APC governors tip Uzodimma as next Senate president, and that's on page 4. A lot of theatrics surrounding these next polls. Let's have your take, Dr. Dan.
I think it's too early to call for governors to say somebody who is not in the Senate, who has not won an election, will become the next Senate president. This is the problem I have with politicians. Instead of taking one day at a time, some of them are overreaching themselves. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. Elections have not even come. He's not sure he's going to win. And some people are saying he's going to be the next Senate president. I think that is more of a political talk than reality. When the time comes, the politics will be played. I think it's too early to start promoting who will be the next Senate president.
Dr. Dan, for your insights. It's always such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
All right, and here's where we draw the curtain on the newspaper review segment. Any insights before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just like Dr. Dan said, politicians sometimes overreach themselves. The election hasn't even taken place. We're still debating about the timetable. And then there's the issue about the Electoral Act amendment, where some people are saying, even if that amendment were to take place, it probably may be outside the window where it will be needed for the election. And INEC may even cite that as an example, that if they go ahead to use it, it may violate the Constitution. So we may just have a situation wherein the president eventually signed the Electoral Act amendment and then, or signed the bill into law, and then it's no longer relevant to the election itself. We saw that during President Muhammadu Buhari's regime when the Not Too Young to Run bill came. He did sign it, but it didn't factor into the election. That could also play out in this particular election. I think politicians should develop the culture of taking advantage of the opportunity they have now to make an impact. That's why people are suggesting, instead of having 2 terms of 8 years, why don't you just have 1 term of 6 years? So when you are elected, you know that as a president or as a governor, this is just your lifeline. This is one opportunity that you have to do whatever you want to do, because most times at the executive level, first term, they make an impact. Second term, they play to the gallery. So they start recouping, they start amassing. Just take a look around the federation. First term, the state chief executive or the president is all over the place working, and then people are singing his praises.
Did we have those works in this tenure, though?
Do we have what?
Did we have the display of those works in this tenure?
I mean, it's a common thing. Look around, you will see it. You will see it's a common thing with governors, yeah.
Anu, you seem to have something to say.
Right, so I'm going to say, as regards APC governors tipping Uzodimma as next Senate president, I think that explains a lot, because lately I have been seeing Hope Uzodimma very close with President Bola Tinubu. I mean, over the weekend, he attended the Argungu Fish Festival.
Argungu Fish
Argungu, yes.
Yeah, Argungu Fish Festival. Argungu Fish Festival.
Argungu. Oh my God. Okay, so, and I saw him there, and anytime the president is leaving the country, he is one of those governors who will go there and bid him farewell. Yeah. So that explains a lot, but at the end of the day, it's never say never, because this is Nigeria. One time in 2023, someone said Emiloko, and truly it was Emiloko. So it might just happen.
Yeah, because it's a country where everything and anything happens. There's something I actually said we're going to talk about today. Maybe in the closing part of the conversation, we'll have that conversation. The recklessness of executives, the culture of impunity. There's a story about the former governor of Kogi State. There's also a story about former governor of Kaduna State, how people went missing. People literally disappeared till today. They've not been found. And when you raise such issues, they say, oh, you are politicizing it, as it were. In any case, you're talking about Hope Uzodimma. That was a guy who became a governor by taking 4th position in an election. You remember, he became governor by taking 4th position. You have governors elected by the people.
Right.
You have governors appointed by the courts. You have governors selected by the politicians. That is the situation we have in the country. By the time they went to court to challenge that case, the man who took 4th position now became the governor. So if you say they're already planning to make him Senate president, I will not be surprised.
Of course.
Okay, well, we have just so much to unpack on the program TMI on the ITV network, and we want you to be a part of this. Up next is our discussion segments, the most critical segments in this package we have for you. Stay with us. It promises to be an insightful time.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game. Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin aqua seed. Ayo or aqua game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Aqua game is played with carved wooden box containing 12 holes.
With the release of election timetable by INEC, you expect to see more of the back and forth, and of course the accusations and counter accusations and all the issues that goes with election, particularly in a penultimate election year like 2026. So our conversations will be built around the 2027 election results, looking at the debates on the real-time transmission of results. We'll also be looking at the impact of opposition party, particularly the likes of the Labour Party and its fate amidst the mobilization for the forthcoming election. We'll look at the reactions trailing the new INEC timetable. And our panelists for this first segment of the show, we have some guests we'll be talking with. Dr. Osagie Irunse is an expert in peace and conflict resolution. He's joining us virtually from Abuja. Dr. Osagie, thank you for joining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. One major issue that has dominated the build up to 2027 is a conversation around transmission of election results real time. And the Senate seems to have done their own thing, but we've seen a lot of criticisms against it. What's your take on this?
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bill Kukosan, for having me. Good morning, Nigerians and Edo State people. Well, like you said, it has been on the public discourse, and I quickly want us to look at the real issues. Why are people so keen? I want to talk about the ordinary Nigerians. Why are we so concerned about real-time transmission? Why are we so concerned about what happened around the Electoral Act? It's because deep down in the heart of the average Nigerian is a yearning for their votes to count. Deep down in the heart of the average Nigerian is a yearning to have value for the time and the efforts they put in to elect their leaders, especially as we prepare for a national election.
Let's talk. Can you hear me, Dr. Osagi?
Yes, I am. I'm with you.
Okay, let's talk about some of the issues surrounding opposition's mobilization for the election, particularly against the background of what has more or less become of the PDP, the Labour Party, and then with the emergence of the ADC. What does this imply for the election itself?
Well, it's always, for me, I'm not so surprised. If you look at our political history and trajectory, there is always a play, sometimes, many a times by the party in power to find ways to weaken opposition. And a lot of times, those opposition party plays to the gallery by not being able to act when they should act and put their house in order. Of course, you can't talk about the PDP crisis, for example, without making reference to the present FCT minister. The FCT minister did not just show up yesterday. He has always been there. So they have always been tolerating a lot of what some people will refer to as his excesses. And now it has almost become like a monster or a giant that is becoming so difficult to remove. Now, I said that because when a sitting minister can come and say, except you promise not to file in a candidate for the 2027 election, which is in the public domain. So what else do you think? Sometimes I tell these political elites, we went to school. We are not Nigerians that are ignorant, that does not understand what is playing out. So when somebody with power come and tell you, hey, don't file in a candidate, that's the only way you have peace. That's the only way things will be stable. So what else do you want me to suspect? That's the reason why I said from time immemorial, it's not only happening at this time. Remember the time of, I think it's Ahmad David Sharif or something. It has always happened in our political narrative. The party in power always try to play the sinister game to try to weaken the strength and the capability of the opposition. And I said in this case that our opposition party seems to be playing to the gallery, seems to be playing to their dictate. Because if you take, for example, the like of the Labour Party, for example, you will recall that the Labour Party at a time in this nation was more or less seen by the average Nigerian youth as the hope of the common man, the hope of what we are dreamt of, the kind of leadership and nation we have dreamt of. But I'm sure today, if you are to take the statistics, a lot of youth will have divergent opinion about that, simply because they have not been able to manage their internal democracy. I have always said in public fora that the strength of our, public democracy is determined by how much we manage our internal democracy. It's just like we talk about social narratives today. You can't separate our current social reality from the family unit of the society. And that is exactly what is happening today. The Labour Party cannot decide its leadership. Then I also want to call in the judiciary. A lot of times there's a lot of confusion, a lot of declaredness about judgment. If you could recall about the Labour Party, last year there was a judgment that came from the Supreme Court. The recent point of order by the High Court referencing the Supreme Court judgment of last year, April, is still a bit ambiguous. Both factions are arguing this is what the Supreme Court said. The other faction is coming to say this is what it said. So why is there this ambiguity in our political judgment? It's either the judiciary has to come out and clarify the real issues, or politicians are again being who they are. When I say being who they are, the greediness, self-centeredness. It has to be me or no one else. That's the main reason why I said the oppositional parties are playing to the music of the current party in power, because it's always a tactics. When you become a party in power, you want to weaken your opposition, because every party wants to win by all means. Let me quickly say this, yes, Dr. Duke, that for me, I have come to believe and to opine that the salvation of Nigeria is not going to come from the hands of political parties. Now, if you take a close look at what happened recently, when the Senate initially took away the clause of the electoral transmission, you needed to see the public outcry. Now, just about last week, Tuesday or thereabouts, the Senate was forced to have an emergency sitting because of the public outcry from different quarters. Now, that is an example of what could happen when we, the citizens of this nation, decide to take the bull by the horn. It is about time we begin to let our leaders know what we want and what must be. Because if certain issues are not addressed, we will continue to give the advantage to disgruntled politicians who are actually playing the game to ensure, it's a deliberate attempt to ensure that there's voters apathy. Of course, I'm sure you are aware that the lesser the turn up, the more easy it becomes to manipulate electoral results. That's the reason why, for me, attacking and addressing the issue of the electoral reforms is key. You can't talk about a credible election without talking about, and that's the reason. It is about time we move.
Let me pause you, Dr. Sage. Let me pause you there for just a moment. Bring in our other guest, the convener. Nigeria cannot continue like this. Talking about Comrade Tony Akeni Lemoine. I'm sure he'll be able to join us any moment from now. But my ladies here have more questions for our guests.
Okay, now moving back to you, Dr. Osage. Yesterday we saw that a representative from the Senate called on lawmakers to get ready for an emergency plenary session tomorrow, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, as regards the release of the 2027 general election timetable from INEC. Now, what are your possible foreseeing of the outcome of tomorrow's meeting? Do you think it's going to yield positive results? Are we going to see a change? What do you make out of it come tomorrow?
Well, the upper chambers will always want to play the role of the warlord. What I mean is they are the upper chambers, they're in charge. There's going to be a little power tussle, power play, but left to me, I think in this case, as it has to do with the Electoral Act, the House of Representatives is getting it more. Is tinting towards the outcry of the ordinary Nigerians. If you look at what the Acts of Representatives have done, you will discover that it tints more towards what the yearnings of the common Nigerians are crying for. But of course, when you have a joint committee to decide on what the Senate and the House of Rep, if I got your question right, the decision they have taken, that there's going to be a little power play. Of course, there's going to be room for plus and balance. There's going to be room for minors and addictions, but I actually look forward to more of what the House of Representatives have brought to the table, taking the center stage. Because what Nigerians are simply asking for is give us reasons to have confidence in this forthcoming election. Come on, guys, is that too much to ask for? In the current state where we are as a nation, and in the current reality of our reputation globally, as it comes to electoral matters, Nigeria is not considered as a serious nation when it comes to credible elections. And this is not a secret, it's everywhere. So is it too much for an average Nigerian to ask, to say, give us reason to hope? Because I quickly want to say this to you, that if the joint meeting, the committee review, does not really go the way of the heartbeats, the feelings, and the yearnings of the average Nigerian, we are going to have another voters' apathy, because that is exactly how it always starts. People are going to be asking you of what use it is to vote when these guys have already decided who becomes. And until that is addressed, we are not ready to tell the world that we are practicing serious and credible democracy. I want to appeal to those committee members to be able to jettison personal interest, party interest, and look in the interest of what the common Nigerians really want. And in this case, I don't think we're asking for too much. Real-time transmission of elections results is possible. In every credible elections, you should not only talk about accreditation. Accreditation should not only be the clause that is backed by law. Transmission of results should be collation of results. We can achieve that. It's not something that we can't. Nigeria is right enough, and I do not subscribe to the school of thought that says we are not ready in terms of internet infrastructure. We have been ready. The problem is there are some people somewhere who will go all the way, who thinks manipulation when it comes to electioneering. So I'm looking forward to a little power play, but at the end of the day, I want those honorable members of the committee who have the interest of Nigerians at heart to stand their ground. And I also want to call on the common Nigerians to watch out for your elected leaders. Follow up the process. Know who is taking what decision and which decision, because we are not asking for too much. We are only asking, give me a reason why I should come out to vote. Give me a reason why I should have confidence that my vote will count. And please, we are not just talking about accreditation. We are talking about transmission, real-time transmission. For me, it is possible. For me, it is visible. For me, what we need is the political will to make this happen. For me, I do not subscribe that our internet infrastructure is not as strong enough, but I am of the opinion that if we choose to strengthen the loopholes, one cannot say that there are no weak links. But if you choose to strengthen it, we can get it right. All what Nigerians are asking for is that allow me to elect my leaders. Don't impose leaders on me. It was in this nation we had a popular leader that said, I know you didn't vote for me, for example. Now, what does that tell me as a voter? It tells me not to suspect the system, not to believe the system. And again, I want to say that the electoral umpire, which is the INEC, I've not come to say with the country.
All right, Dr. Osaige, just to cut you there for a little bit, to find this clarification on something that you also brought forward, the Electoral Reform Bill, the Electoral Act Reform Bill, the issue of the electronic transmission. Now, when the Senate reconvened the second time, they said something. They came up with a clause in the case of network glitches. Now, a section of Nigerians are of the standpoint that it's just another way of those at the helm of affairs to find a way to do some of these tricks. But is there an understanding that there might be a reason there? Because we know Nigeria per time, we've experienced network glitches over time. So is it just a way for the Senate to try and be reasonable and say, you know, if this doesn't work, then it should happen this way? Or you think personally that it is the shenanigans of those in the helms of affairs as usual?
Candidly, if you ask for my opinion, I'll be very strict about this, because we are tired of the many suspicious elections we have had in the past, where you are told if you are not satisfied with the result, go to court. That is not the kind of Nigeria I want to bequeath to my kids. If you ask me, I will say that if any election result cannot be uploaded or transmitted, it should be immediately cancelled. If you ask me, that, like I said, that is my personal opinion. It should be immediately cancelled. We cannot continue to go this way. We can't continue to give reasons why we must go manual. Now, if you look at the history of electioneering in Nigeria, you discover that there was a time it was completely manual. And the reason why it was proposed that we go electronically was to curb the fraud, some of the irregularities, the loopholes that have been observed. And let me bring this to your attention. There are three processes of electioneering, at the voting day. There's the process of accreditation. There's the process of voting. There's the process of result processing. which could be referred to as collation. Now, I don't know if you are aware that the only one that is completely backed by law is accreditation. Accreditation is the one that is completely backed by law. Now, voting and result processing can as well go on manually, which in my own opinion, I said no. See, let me quickly say this to you. If you talk about network issue, are you aware that 4G network alone boasts of 95 million Nigerians subscribers, and with a good number of megabytes that can go on, proceed within seconds, within split of seconds? Now, let me quickly say this. Are you also aware that even where you have some network glitches, for example, take, for example, your WhatsApp. If we chat on WhatsApp and I upload something to you and it does not go down or download immediately, you will notice that the moment the network pop open, it goes down immediately. Now, what I'm trying to establish is that, in my own opinion, the alternative is not the way to go. It's not welcome. See, if Nigerians must have hope in our electionary system, we are talking about the need to end the voters' apathy. We will continue to see people who are not interested in going to the field. Because the easiest way to manipulate elections results is to begin to go manually. But now when it goes manually, you know that those elections results are now at the mercy or the integrity test of whosoever is collating that result with his pen and paper. Now, don't also forget that what is the whole essence of voting, of accreditation, if we cannot determine the end result? I'm of the opinion that I believe that Nigeria is not as immature when it comes to internet infrastructure as we suppose. Of the opinion that there are a lot of internet giants in this nation. There are a lot of, I don't know if you remember the last case we had between INEC and I think it was the last presidential tribunal. One of the consultants in the internet space said that there were no glitches on their part, that their server was working well, everything was okay. But INEC came and said there were issues on their part. Now, how do you account for that?
Dr. Sage, we'd like to pursue there. Excuse me. We'd like to pursue there. I mean, it's an ongoing conversation, and we hope to have you here again to have more insights and perspectives on all of these issues as we get closer to the D-Day in February 2027, and then of course in March 2027. Dr. Sage, thank you so much for joining us on the program TMI on the RTV network.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we continue with our conversation on the show, still on 2027, but this time we're looking at the fate of the new Nigerian People's Party and its leadership against the background of all the issues that are coming into the fore. Our guest is joining us from Lagos. Abubakar Yusuf is a former New Nigerian People's Party and NPP presidential spokesman. He's also the chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers of Nigeria. Yusuf Abubakar Esquire, one-time SUG president in the University of Benin. Thank you so much for joining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. We're having a bit of a challenge connecting with Yusuf Abubakar from Lagos virtually to deepen our conversation on this segment of the show. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Please stay with us on the show. Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Yusuf Abubakar Esquire is a former NNPP presidential spokesman, the chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers, former SUG president, University of Benin. Bryce Yusuf, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be with you again.
Okay, let's begin our conversation with your party, the NNPP, which seems to be neck deep in multiplicity of controversies, from the faction still operating to the defection of your only state governor, talking about Abba Yusuf, to your national leader being immersed in terrorism financing allegations. I mean, help us unpack all of these issues going on with the NNPP.
Well, thank you so much. Let me start by correcting you that there's really no faction in NNPP. If you want to know the group or the leading voice in NNPP, you just go to INEC website and see the group that is recognized. The group that is recognized is a group that is led by Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso. There's no other faction. Any other faction planted there was done purposely to cause schism or division. You know, it has been a concerted effort that is slowly planted there, that has reached a crescendo, even by this so-called demonization of the leader. You know, it's choreographed, but we're addressing it in no small measure. As for the governor that has exited, in fact, is of no consequence. Like you know, Dr. Abubakar Galadima is a heavyweight, and I remember the sage Abiola says that the tree that cannot carry your weight, if that same tree falls on you, it will not crush you. Since Yusuf Abba Gida Gida cannot support us, then it means that he's leaving the party is of no consequence. We still remain very relevant, and we still remain the center point of Kano politics, not only of Kano politics, but essentially the entire northern states. As a matter of fact, this will soon be put to test in no time, and we shall see who really owns Papa's land. But as it stands, there's no question about it, that Papa's land belongs to Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso, and nothing more pretentious.
Barrister Yusuf, I'm wondering how you can justify all of this when we know that the only governor on the platform of NNPP has since moved to the APC. That former defection will take place today in Kano. And as I say, charity must begin from home, and a house divided against itself can't stand. So how is Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso going to be relevant in this dispensation when he, as an individual, is also accused of sponsoring terrorism? I mean, these troubles are not abating anytime soon.
Yeah. Let me quickly tell you here and now that it's all intertwined and interrelated. You know, you remember that when the chairman of the party, the chairman of the APC was receiving the governor, the renegade governor, he actually said that the target was Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso. That was a prelude to Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso joining them. I think they were really asked by the stand of Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso, that he refused compromise and demanded justice. When Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso came to the forum to tell the world that his platform was not for sale. And this is understandable because of the background where it's coming from. He's a social democrat, and he will not find favor with the party like the APC, which, like you know, is a capitalist oriented.
Let me take you on this point. I mean, looking at some of the issues on the front burner nationally, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, came into the country recently from Egypt. We saw the drama at the airport. You can describe him as someone who came with a bag of controversies, refusing arrest, admitting on national television recently that he has breached the telephone number of the National Security Advisor, Noor Ribadu, and even accusing him of importing deadly chemicals. Can you walk us through all of these?
Well, I think it's actually giving a dog a bad name in order to hang that same dog. El-Rufai has told us right from the time he was in Egypt that he's aware that he will be arrested when he comes to Nigeria. So it was not news to us when he was accosted at the airport and he was asked to come into the conference of the DSS. I was shocked initially when I was informed that it was the EFCC that wanted him. I said, no, certainly not the EFCC under the present headship of Olukayode. You cannot be party to that type of arrest. But we have later discovered now that the ICPC actually, they want to have a talk with him. The EFCC has done the obvious by asking for him to come. They sent a civil invitation. I think he will show up today. So I think it's really playing to the gallery, or rather taking the government is taking bed boats for cannon bullets. Bed boats is quite harmless. If you now take it for cannon bullet, people will now start to suspect your move. They would have asked El-Rufai to come quietly into the country rather than accost him or arrest him. Hate him or like him, El-Rufai has been governor for 8 years and former minister. I don't think he would jump bail. If he had wanted to jump bail to even run away, he would not even come to the country in the first place. So I think the civilized thing to do was to have invited him quietly. Again, the importation of deadly chemicals into the country, I don't really know. I think Molam is actually playing on the intelligence of the security agents. I don't know how he can even be able to breach the security by tapping into their phone. I think he just wants to show that they do not have enough security and all that. They try to play on the intelligence, and I'm happy that people are falling for it. But be that as it may, as a lawyer, I want to know. I think at about this time, the Mala will be approaching the ICPC or EFCC, whichever that comes first. We still live in a democratic society, and we still believe that democratic elements should guide us no matter who sources doubt. So a position whereby people will now start to think that the government is overbearing in its approach to the opposition and all that, leaves much to be desired. I think we need to be very careful in dealing with the opposition. Because the story is now very rife in the city that if you are not a member of APC, you are not going to be guaranteed a second term, and you are not going to be guaranteed non-prosecution. So I think we should be very careful so that we allow opposition to breathe.
Right, sir. One of the things that has characterized, I would say, the baggage that Kwankwaso is carrying in recent times is the U.S. sanctions bill. It's not just here in Nigeria now, it's global, it's international. How has the NNPP assessed the impact of this sanctions bill on its credibility, its electoral viability ahead of the 2027 polls?
Well, when I was coming here, getting ready for this interview, I met a friend of mine who is a member of a Buddhist club. He said, why are you so trenchant and tough in your response to this so-called bill? Well, like you know, when the evil plotter beats his drum for the downfall of the innocent, the gods will not let that drum sound. The so-called two legislators, Mr. Moore and Smith, that are financing this or sponsoring this bill, you discover that they do not really know what they are doing. They have stated the grounds, and in law, if you state the grounds of your grounds or grudge, the man should be out to rebut. So our reporter is taking the form of this defense. They have told us why they are indicting or why they intend to indict Dr. Musa Rabi Kwankwaso. They said he's an unrepentant financier of terrorism. This one sounds very, very absurd. It's like saying Father Kuka is sponsoring Boko Haram or local area in Sokoto. This is very unfortunate because if you go through the trajectory of Dr. Musa Rabi Kwankwaso, you will know that it can never be him that they are describing. And I still believe that they have taken on the very wrong course. So here is a man whose deputy in the last election in 2023 was even a bishop, Bishop Idausa. Here's a man that actually introduced the first two universities in Kano. University, firstly, during his first tenure, 1999 to 2003, introduced the Kano University of Science and Technology. And he was actually removed from office because he was very liberal towards the minorities in Kano, Nigeria. So much so that even the Igbos were so excited. The Ulamas and the clerics believed that he was not a Northerner. They said his name is the corruption of Okonkwo and son, Kwankwaso. Indeed, the Edo people also believed that he was from Edo. They named him Okako Orason, the warrior that comes in the night to slay. The Yoruba we were not out of this name calling. They also said it's from Ibadan, that there was a rail station that goes from Ibadan to the Kwakwaso village. So it's very liberal and obeying. And the reason why he lost the second bid at the election was because he did not give vent to the ulamas that wanted the strict and quick establishment of that Sharia. So I think they have not done their research enough, and if they have done their research enough, they would have realized that this accusation is nothing but a sublime piece of mysticism, and it hides something nothing. And indeed, when he also came back during the second tenure, he brought the second university of Kano. A man who is so obeying, a man who is sponsoring more than 3,000 students abroad. I do not know how he would be.
Yusuf, I wanted to ask this question, which has to do with the fact that Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, as governor of Kano State, was one of the first set of governors who, put up the Sharia law bill in that state that came into effect. Do you think that is adding some sort of elixir to this whole conversation of him being one of the sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria?
That argument is a false pass. He's indeed guilty of what we call argumentum ad misericórdiam. That bill, Sharia bill, firstly, it was not Kano that first started Sharia. The Sharia started from Zamfara. Even Kano's Sharia law, was not sponsored. It was not a legislative bill. Neither was it an executive bill. It was a private bill. It was because Dr. Musa Rabi Kwankwaso was so reluctant in sponsoring the bill. That's why the ulamas, they wanted to even remove him, and they succeeded in removing him and planting the Mara Shakarau. The reason why they did this was because Dr. Musa Rabi Kwankwaso refused to sign that bill. He was very reluctant, and he signed it reluctantly. The ulamas were very furious. They said this man that is not obeying, this man that is too obeying, and he does not want to introduce the version of the Sharia they want, cannot come. And they succeeded in removing him from office. So it is wrong to say that he brought Sharia or he initiated Sharia. He was the last man. He was so attacked, so much so by the ulamas and clerics that he was not even going to public functions. He was sending down here to represent him. So I think the Americans should come and listen to our arguments, follow his trajectory. Otherwise, if that bill goes through, then one begins to question the so-called, ability of the Americans to read between the lines, or to even advise any country in terms of intelligence and what have you. Dr. Musa Rabi Kwankwaso. Yes, I can hear you.
So you've said a lot of things since the start of this interview, but one will begin to wonder as we get to Coast Home pretty time soon. With all that has happened so far within the shortest possible period in the NNPP, from the faction to what we're seeing now with Rabiu Kwankwaso, how would you assess the strength and the structure of the NNPP ahead of the forthcoming election in 2027?
Just before you answer that, let me just add this to it briefly. President Bola Tinubu has barely a year to end his regime. Do you agree with the renewed hope agenda? Do you think, Nigerians appreciate the impact that has been made, will therefore reward it with a renewal by 2027?
Well, let me quickly just address what the lady asked. Firstly, you will discover that by INEC's own calculation, NNPP has over 8 million registered votes. And APC just celebrated their 10 million votes. That is in only Kano, not Jigawa. We're definitely going to go around the states, all the entire states in the country. So the central government is disturbed. America is also disturbed that a single man is having this type of momentum. So there's a need to cut into size. So that thing does not have any place. And I think, like I always say, that bill will suffer the violent hammer of dismissal when it comes to Congress proper. Again, let me also go to the assessment of Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu, to me, I think he has not been too forthcoming with what the people want. And I think by next year, if he's not very careful, we are determined as the heart of the opposition to send him packing back to body law. That is not to say that they are not, there are other, arms of government. You have the legislature, you have the executive, and you have also the judicial. Some members of the legislature, I must tell you, they are even trying to redeem some of those good things we want to see in the National Assembly. Unlike the president of Senate, Akpabio, who is anti-people, I want to really particularly single out for mention the dearest comrade Oshomole, who has been carrying out bipartisan contribution in that Halo Chambers. Look at the way he actually took Umahi to cleaners when he wanted him to justify the item that goes for 40 million. The very proud Umahi up to now has not been able to justify it. And again, he also talked about things that they are doing, like the contractors that are gaining traction and all that. When you look, they were talking about Mikano. One would want to ask what has happened to other, giants, in the highway, like Setraco. Setraco used to be the main thing on our highways. Surprisingly, since this government came into power, we have not been able to see any patronage from them. So we're asking that the government should look inwards and deal with the devil with them rather than the angel we don't know. So I think Tinubu really has a big fish to fry. If he's not careful, the NNPP, when we decide to make a decision, will be very fundamental and instrumental in sending him back to body law.
So, quickly talk to us about the prospects, for example, of the NNPP in the forthcoming Osun State governorship election. INEC just released the names of candidates in that election. I'm not very sure the NNPP has a candidate for that election.
Yeah, once I leave here now, we're going to hold our Zoom meeting. I think, you see, like I always say, APC must be very, very careful. If Tinubu had taken the team that made Lagos the dream of the entire country to Asura, I think it would have been a better place for him. We are hearing some new names, even those who assisted him in the struggle for June 12th. Only recently, I discovered that, those heroes of June 12th, they were not even fully realized. Look at somebody like Gani Adams, who staked his life for the actualization of June 12th. So much so that Abacha even put a price on his head. His name was not even mentioned as one of the contributors to the realization of June 12th, near democracy. It shows that there's something not too robust about Tinubu's team, and he should go back to his drawing board if he really wants to realize his dream. In fact, I'm not supposed to advise him, because what we want to do in NNPP, by the time we finish our meeting this week, is to ensure that we concretize those things that will lead him back to his house in Lagos. We say this and we mean it.
So Yusuf, don't you think that perhaps the wisest option for NNPP is to join the coalition like the ADC that has become some sort of arrowhead in the mobilization for opposition in the build up to 2027? We've seen the PDP there, we've seen APC there, we've seen Labour Party there, and all of that.
Yes, you are making a lot of sense. It's a horse of that color, I would say, is in the offering, but it's no lamentation of our sanctity until we complete our meeting, because we live by consensus. We are very democratic. Until we hold our meeting, especially at the Kwankwasiya level, we'll not be able to say where we are going. We know where we are not going. We cannot go to a place whereby, the leader parades in the streets with more than 100 SUVs, with the followers shouting the people. We know where we are not going, but we know where. We don't know yet where we are going to part. But as it stands, between now and not too long a time, we are going to hold a meeting and we'll tell the world where we are heading to. It's going to be based on the group that aggregates the interest of the Hoipolo, the Talakawas, and what have you.
It looks like, for the average Nigerian, getting it right with 2027 election is to a large extent built around how election results, will be transmitted. I mean, we've seen all the back and forth from the Senate, and the Senate, had an emergency plenary last week, which of course they took a decision. But the question revolves around real-time transmission of election results. What's your take, and what's the NNPP's perspectives on these conversations?
We stand with the people, we stand with common sense, we stand with individual liberty, and we stand with democracy. I do not know why the government of the day is scared of this real-time transmission of election result. It is only those who do not trust themselves that will go deep into the morass of hiding the transmission and all that. If you trust that you have about 28 or 30 governors, then why are you talking about? Why are you trying to be clever behalf when it comes to transmission of results? I think it will yield no fruit. This idea of giving a mix-up between electronic and manual, or using one when the other fails, I think is not too good. Because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to rely on 2 points. If one fails, the other holds. But if one fails, their gasket falls. I think it will not succeed. We are still insisting on the real-time transmission of our election result. That is the only way that can yield transparency to the system. We say it and we mean it.
Okay, we just look forward to an outstanding 2027 general elections, but the issues are gaining momentum, as it were, and the major onus is on the people, the electorates, to decide the fate of those who are aspiring to occupy one position or the other. INEC has released its timetable. The presidential National Assembly election will be in February, and then the governorship and the House of Assembly election will be in March, except for states that have off-cycle election, Kogi, Ondo, Osun, which is just around the corner, and even Edo State and the likes. What's your take on this timetable released by INEC in the face of the Electoral Act amendment that is also going? Do you think all of that will be concluded before the election proper? Because we saw a similar thing play out during the administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari, where we're talking about the not too young to run bill. Even though that bill was signed into law, INEC couldn't really take advantage of it because somehow it was statute bar. I'd like to get your take along those lines.
I think the somersault, the rigmarole as it stands by INEC and their collaborators is geared towards changing the opposition, especially the NNPP. Don't forget that whatever time they are going to announce, we are going to be ready. Only last election, 2023, we didn't take us more than, we're the last to enter the race. And it didn't take us more than 2 months to aggregate our interest. We know our members, the Kwakwasia movement, we're always highly mobilized. By the time we know the party we are going to ally with, if there's the need for that, we are going to mobilize ourselves within the next 30 days like we did before. Our people, we all know what we stand for. We are descendants of a suffering people. We are descendants of a people, a generation, and indeed, we are determined to suffer no longer. We shall not mobilize not only Kano, but the entire poor people in the entire country to plant the banner of freedom in Asukuru. We say this and we mean it.
Thank you very much, Barrister Abubakar Yusuf, former NNPP presidential spokesman, Chairman, League of Patriotic Lawyers. Thank you again for your time with us. Hope next time we call on you, you oblige us your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, my colleague Joseph is already on standby from Abuja Network Studio for next conversation, particularly on the build-up to the FCT elections. We hear FCT is agog as they look forward to the council elections and other elections taking place in the FCT. Joseph, it's over to you.
Yeah, of course, a beautiful discussion you had there. But here in Abuja, it's still around politics. And here is the area council election that is billed for 21st of February 2026. It's just about way. And you know how it is with area council election with so many parties, about 17 of them contesting. And as we stand, you cannot see that this area council, a particular party, you know, has held down the area council until after the election. Then you know which of the political party, the people, and of course the candidate of, those contesting that the people actually want. Right, so I have with me 10 of the Labour Party. I was thinking that he has joined very good that will be in ADC. But as we speak, I think he's still thinking whether to join Peter Obi or to remain with the Nenadman-led the senior chief, Peter Ame.
Thank you for having me. Labour Party, I'm not thinking. I'm in Labour Party and I support Labour Party.
Yeah, you know, when the Obi movement moved to AD, it is expected that every other person in the movement, Tanko Yakase, Tanko Yunusa, everybody has moved to the ADC following, you know, the leader of the obedient movement.
Me, I've been in the Labour Party for a long time, even before my brother and Oga party. So I've always believed in the social democratic principles of the party, and I've been committed to it for a long time, and that commitment because we believe that anything a nest for social inclusion and social safety net, you know, the poor and vulnerable is very critical, you know, if we must play politics in a way that would reflect positively on the life of the masses.
Yeah, but you know, a party where you don't have a clear-cut leadership, where do you stand?
No, it's just a fragment. It's just a fragment of the.
Julius
these are fragments of the imagination of. It's a narrative created by the media. To be sincere, a judgment is a judgment. When there's a court judgment, and INEC and the court judgment, and the names of these persons who are the beneficiary of that court judgment have been uploaded, they don't need to talk about any other thing. We should be able to call a spade, because I've been in party management for a very long time. I don't think there's, apart from who just gave ADC to the opposition that they are using today. Apart from him, there's no other person who has served in the opposition like I have done. You know, I also served in the IPAC, in another coalition like I have done. But I believe the principles that dedicated leadership is the registrar party and the regulator for political parties, and they've done the needful. So we should just leave people who think that power and unlawful
ITV, certainly the best.
Area council is not part of state executive body. It's still the conduct of area council fall within the jurisdiction of federal executive authorities. And that election will come on the 21st. Already we have 572 candidates that are jostling for position across 16 political parties, and that's where you have the beauty of the multi-party democratic system.
The 6 chairmen, 62 councillors.
62 councillors. You have the whole position to contest for is 68. Or the position that they contested for is 68. It is clear that the election should be transparent. Already we've seen a very robust campaign. We've seen for the first time that the APC have been put on their toes. They're under serious pressure.
No, but if you say you have seen robust campaign, we will disagree a little, because the contestants, I don't know if they're shy. We don't know if they want other people to know them beside their, native people. We really don't see them come around. Even if you invite them, they don't come. Including the Labour Party candidate.
No, the Labour Party has no candidate. That is the painful truth. If the Labour Party has candidate, we will be doing different things. I would have been on the.
But someone is claiming that.
No, there's no Labour Party. That's where the work of the journalists begin. INEC had published particulars for candidates. Final particulars for candidates that have qualified to participate to the ballot. Labour Party has no candidate in this because of the struggle for power.
Because of the dropping. The Nadi Usman has been accepted. So
no, it was
the
accepted.
One that emerged from Abu
there are timetable and guidelines for conduct of elections in Nigeria, and they are regulated by the commission. And that commission works with its own principal law of the country, like the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and the subsidiary legislation that is created by the commission, which is the one that is the operation today, is the guidelines and regulation for conduct of election 2022, because we don't have new one yet. So under guideline for regular, you have a time that primaries will be conducted, candidates will emerge from EC9 and from EC9B will be filled by the party and their candidate and submitted by a portal to INEC, and that submission will not be uploaded. Then they will have a period for substitution of candidate. And that substitution, if it occurs, or the name of the person that was first uploaded will be changed. And if it does not occur, there will be last time for final publication and particulars of candidates that are qualified to be on the ballot, which INEC have done. So, and if you look at that final publication, it's not there. At the time, Nana Ade Usman was recognized by the commission and the judgment came, primaries have been conducted.
It was already late.
Substitutions have been conducted.
Yes, and so
have been made.
And for Abure's own,
there were issues at the time because INEC felt there were gap at the time that Supreme Court judgment came. Supreme Court judgment, that gap, Abure-led ESCO was able to bring a state high court judgment from Nasarawa State. A state high court judgment from Nasarawa State. For the first time, I was even shocked that INEC obeyed it. Because INEC is a federal executive body captured in section 133. In fact, anybody appointed by INEC is captured in section 155(1)(c). So these are federal executive body. And if you are taking decisions that should be binding on INEC, you should take those decisions to federal high courts. But INEC say, it's an order, and for them, they will obey any order that comes, no matter whether it is legitimate, it is legal, until it is set aside. So they obeyed it, and that vacuum was very created. So at that time, that the struggle for who the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court has given judgment. I thought the Supreme Court, actually recognized distinguished Senator Nana Ade Usman, PhD. I felt she and Senator Darlington were recognized. That's the fact. But INEC say, there was not. But within that gap, there's a judgment, and that gap, that time before that judgment came, primaries were already conducted, so Labour Party could not participate. But let's go back to
this Labour Party could not participate.
No, Labour Party is not the Labour Party as a whole. There's no party belonging. Party is a public
institution. I know when they were.
Party is a public institution with self-succession. That's the law. Whether everybody in Labour Party resides today is an entity. It will still remain alive, except when, despite I don't believe in section 228 that INEC is using, except when deregistered by the commission. I don't believe in it because it undermines the principle of association as enshrined in the constitution that people will have freedom to belong to a political party of their choice. So that is by the way. But to come to this election, why I told you there have been robust campaign. Sincerely, there have been robust campaign. I've never ever seen where the APC we set up this high-level man committee for the FCT election. It was like they are afraid because of what happened in 2023 election. They are really panicking, and they don't want to give room. And I agree. Every political party must struggle, campaign, and put out its manifestos and its program to electorate so that they can choose from that. It's their right. It's fundamental. But in looking at that, you will look at opposition parties also doing their own bit. All I advise opposition parties that are contesting against the APC is that there's a key thing they must do, is that they must have agents in polling units and populate those polling units with also members, because voters are different from members of political parties. All these political parties you are seeing, their members, I challenge them to publish their verification today that they are calling 10 million. They don't have it. A lot of Nigerians, even in overseas, members of political parties are very few. It is the electorate that matters in the scheme of things, because at the end of the day, they are the one that constitute the bulk of voters. So anybody coming to brand figures and tell you we have this membership, most of them don't have. So at the end of the day, what we should do is to make sure that you populate this polling unit with your members, put them at that polling point, and then try to make sure that whatever vote that is cast for you, you have in hand the Form EC8A that will be recorded. Despite the fact we are challenged by the inability, to make sure that automatic transmission, automatic transmission of Form EC8A reporter is going through all the political shenanigans that we find with our National Assembly, because this is not the difficult thing. We're not doing electronic transmission just like that. We're doing data capture. We will capture the Form EC8A in its original form, assigned and upload, and assigned by agents of political party. So it is the safest transmission of any kind of election result in the, because we are not now tabulate and can put another. We capture what has been signed by everybody. So all this lie they try to tell Nigerians and turn upside down, oh, no data. No, even the IRF have capacity to work offline. When it's captured, as we are going, because when it's captured and uploaded, you can no longer remove it. But as soon as you see it can get the network, it will go up. It will go up. You can't remove it. So all these things, because these people have not served in the collective interest of our people, they have not talked about the inflation that are eating deep into the pocket of the ordinary people and reduce their purchasing power, as the president promised, that Tinubu promised that he will reduce purchasing power of Nigerians, and maybe that's what they are doing invariably. In all, election should not be war. Election should be a process by which you canvass for vote, this party casts for vote, and then you go to the ballot. And when you get to the ballot, you cast your vote, after accreditation has been done, and then we
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are
But I'm saying this one is very naked for any person to see. That there's a desperation on the side of those in power. They have mobilized heavily.
You have evidence.
I've seen their committees. I've seen
evidence.
They mobilize heavily. They have mobilized all their people from board, setting up by the Kwara State government. We have never seen it. It's area council election.
Yeah.
No
matter the committee.
Area council election.
No matter the committee, you cannot vote if you don't have a polling, if your PC unit is not here.
It's what we for. That's what we pray for. But we do not want the vulnerabilities that have been known with the elections, like the result tampering, of electoral and electoral results, that deepen the level of voter participation. And that apathy is very bad for our election because the percentage of people who go out to elect leaders is so poor. It's not a number. You know, today you could over 1 million registered voters, but you are not going to have the outcome of what you have on an election that you may be seeing very few thousands of people to vote. Demonstrate that why election is different. Why you always see the result not tailored to the because the House, the President, the House, the ministers, the House accommodate the Senate President and others. Why it's not tailored like that is that these are a place where those who reside here are enlightened people. They are exposed people. It's a cosmopolitan, metropolitan center.
The vote is not for sale.
So the vote is
you can't even
buy it. You can't come to Apple, you go to Maitama and say how much is your vote. People will chase you out. So that's why the difficulty is. But the next phase is that we do not want result changing while on transportation from the polling station to the collation center. We don't want result changing. Because this is the template for...
But you know that from what we have seen in the last election, if there is result change or tampering, the likes of Kingibe would not have been declared as the winner of the election. This is someone who defeated an incumbent, not only an incumbent, an indigene or they call themselves original inhabitants, but yet gave the man a very wide margin. So we should be hopeful.
We can't tell you all the struggle that happened in the FCT election in 2023. The undercut, the desperation to try to undermine that result. The people were resolute. In every of the collation center, in every of the polling, I've never seen such thing in my entire life in participating. The people were determined to bring that.
Don't you think that kind of energy will be repeated by Saturday?
They are depressed from the outcome of 2023. I can tell you this as a political scientist. I'm not just a political scientist because I come to TV. I study up to PhD level. So I'm not just coming to talk because I want to talk. I'm telling you, a lot of Nigerians are depressed from the outcome of 2023 election. But I'm telling them, you can't be depressed. You perform magic in 2023. This is the first time in history that we can see that you are interested in the moving forward of your country. So you can't try once and there's this challenge and you say you are stopping. You must continue to try because internal vigilance is the only thing we can do to save this country. It belongs to us. It belongs to our children. If you look at the FCT, in this federal capital territory with all the budget, people are still sleeping in class. In Amak, I've been here for over 30 years. So I find it appalling that people will say they are depressed. So they should be able to wake up from that, this country in the right direction, in the right trajectory. Look at countries who don't have the resources to have. Their children go to public school for free. They have medical checkup for free for every case. And why shouldn't we be worried? We all should be worried. And the only way we can determine the cause that will change that action is for us to vote the right people. It's for us to own the process. You are in a class, maybe in Form 4, and you fail exam. You are going to repeat. You try again. That's how life is, generally. Even if you're working and you're doing business is not progressing, you might change to a new business or try again. So we should see election as one of the basic, in fact, very critical venture that every citizen must have interest in and must be determined to use their voter card. Look, people say, oh, you want to go and waste your vote. If not because people were courageous, that thing they've been saying since 1999, people wouldn't have voted the way they voted for Labour Party in 2023. Because it's a social engineering that you want to go and waste your vote. Because of that, you just give it to them. A person's vote is as equal to his choice. If you give your vote to any party, don't think at this whether the party wins or not. You have exercised your fundamental human right, and that your franchise was not taken is enough for you to go home happy and sleep well. It is not when you give the vote to a wrong person that makes a vote valid. It is when you cast your vote for a candidate of your choice, for a candidate that have competence, that have capacity, whether he wins or not. That is the truth. That's how democracy was designed, to be inclusive, to have freedom, and to have the opportunity for people of all walks of life to participate, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are big, whether you are slim. It doesn't matter.
So our time is flying fast. What can INEC do to ensure that this process is different from the one we used to know in terms of early deployment of sensitive materials?
Election, from the date election date was set, any day you hear that election date has been set, election has commenced. That's the rule of the election. Because that's why you see INEC look for 360 days, to announce the date for election, because they need ample time to prepare, because you have the preparation phase, which is pre, you have the action phase, which is the day of the election, and you have the post, phase of election result, announcement of winners, and reverse logistics from every location, which is the post-election phases. So, as we speak today, INEC must have done some printing of materials, sensitive and non-sensitive materials. Some of them could have been, stored in the CBN as we speak today. And then what INEC should do is to create a very good infrastructure for transportation system, like they've had with the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, and it has really helped our election, for electoral materials to arrive on time. It has improved from what it has improved. So we must thank JEGA for all those initiatives to try to, work out that process. And because that has improved, the next phase is to start to see that the election has transparency, that the election has integrity, and the election is credible, free, and fair. And anywhere the state authority wants to undermine the rights of the people, INEC must also have the capacity and the truthfulness to challenge that process and stop that process and call a spade a spade. Because election without transparency, without integrity, without free and fair processes inclusive, is just a mandate without legitimacy. It's a mandate without legitimacy. There's no doubt of that. That means you can't, it's without in it. It's an empty casing. And that's why if people get to power, they keep on struggling for years to let the people love them, to let people like them. It's only Nigerians that have seen that election is conducted on the day of the election. It is the people who are sad for a candidate that lost that are more than the people who are happy for the candidate that was declared winner. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody is declared winner, and the whole country is thrown into money. and then the person is the winner. And then they are consulting.
And there's nothing you can do.
And there's nothing you can do. So this is the fate of our election. It should not come in 2023 because this 21st February is a litmus test for the commission to try to use it. Yes, I'm Opiton. He's my brother. We are both from Kogi State. He's my brother. I always advise him, to try to see that he must wait because this is a more transparent way. Then the voter party will reduce in 2027.
But he succeeded in Anambra.
Anambra election, yes, was good. It wasn't as the opposition wasn't as strong as you are seeing in FCT today. In Anambra election, Labour Party was in crisis. ADC couldn't produce anybody, so it was just I knew from day one Soludo was going to win. That's why I was invited to Anambra to campaign. I never went because there was no opposition. You could see opposition, you will know. But for instance, you've seen what the ADC, Dr. Moses Paul, and all the other leaders of the parties are doing. So that's what is pushing the APC to work very hard.
They are actually, both parties are really working hard.
No, they are working very hard.
No, the ADC is also canvassing for membership. APC, of course, has opened up for people to register. So this can be seamless. People are really going there to register.
We will get that register later, but the truth of the matter is that INEC must take 21st February area council election very serious. And they must do everything to make sure that they will endear confidence in the electoral process that they will make sure that Nigerians start being towards them, that whatever perception Nigeria has about them, that election must be able to reduce that perception by 50%.
But you know, in today's election in Nigeria, it's not only INEC that can guarantee free, fair, and credible polls. You have other security agencies that should be on ground to ensure that the process is seamless. You have the police, of course, the civil defense now, with what the president has done, they also have to be there armed. And then you have the ICPC and EFCC who also go to polling units to check for vote buying. So if all these come together, what do you think this kind of election can look like?
No, tell us, in a full gamut of electoral process, all these players are important.
Yes.
You know, but tell us where, how many people that on all the cry we're having that vote is being bought. We see them, but the EFCC and ICPC don't see them.
I have seen EFCC.
They arrest some. Tell me, show me the record of these trials, please. No, you have to do investigation. Maybe I'll come back so that we'll look at how they call it, how proactive they've been in trying those cases.
Don't you think the presence of EFCC in a polling unit will scare away those
it will scare
who
away
are
an
there
authority
with bags of money
if
to
people
buy
are
votes?
there on the order of authority, it will not scare them away because you release. There's what they call nolli prosecute. If it's the state attorney general, it will free them. If it's the federal government, they will not try. It's nolli prosecute. They were riding interest of who to be tried and who not to be tried. This is not in the purview of the eyes of ordinary Nigerians. And that's why we have always agitated that let's go by the Justice Tuwe Electoral Panel 2008. Justice Lemu Electoral Reform Panel 2011. Even Ken Unamani, former Senate President, Electoral Reform Panel under Buhari, they say the commission should be unbundled because the commission is overburdened with unnecessary responsibility that should not be. It was an independent National Electoral Commission. Under it, you have Political Party Registration and Regulation Commission. Under that, this INEC you are seeing, though, you have delineation of constituency. Under this INEC, you have Electoral Tribunal and Offenses Commission. Under this INEC, I can mention about 10 of the functions of INEC, which is not right. INEC should be responsible for election. And if we unbundle and reduce the size of the commission to different units, you have electoral offenses related tribunal that would be focused on some people. Police was there. How they call it, this yellow fever was there in police before they created road safety. Police was created EFCC because it is for efficiency, to reduce the level of red tape. That's bureaucracy and those bottlenecks that hinder effective management of issues. That's why these things were created. So for us to get, we must be able to do some of this. We can't be setting up committees in Nigeria. Every time we set committee, the final report of this committee are never implemented. So that I don't believe in committee in Nigeria. That's when the Electoral Act in National Senate Committee, I said, I don't know to leave that matter. Now, why you is the one? Because as soon as Nigeria start to set up 3 committees for something, they're not interested in doing it. So INEC knows what to do. Get your returning officers and your rec center, the training you have trained, train them properly well, and tell them wherever you carry out the electoral malfeasance and things you do, you will not get paid and you will be participating in election further. So that you put them on the blacklist. You have a power to do. You don't have a power to who the executive would try. You don't have the power to determine who the judiciary will not try. Your own power is to be able to print an in-house rules with your subsidiary legislation, the electoral, the regulation and guidelines for conduct of election, and say, look, if you do this, we will blacklist you. You will never be part of our electoral process again. We will put in our blacklist book. Create that book, and make sure that this on the day of this 25th election, the results are properly declared, and the in it, and then unmanipulated, or in line with all the old duties that are on them. The truth is INEC knows what to do. INEC can conduct a free and fair election if they refuse to be beholden to those in power.
Okay, you know, INEC can only declare results of voters, right? It is what people cast that they count and declare. If people refuse to go, it will be for them. And we really want the work to be a bit cumbersome when they are counting plenty ballot papers. And you know, most elections, some youths don't go out. Even some adults, you know, they believe it's rest, play, you know, meet friends, relax, and all of that. How would advise FCT and that have PVCs with polling centers in the FCT?
For me, I'm not to blame our people. You know, they don't trust the commission. They don't believe.
But you, as a politician,
they don't believe in the commission.
Who needs number?
But I'm telling them, it is not just for politicians who needs number. It's for who needs the elected governors.
Exactly.
They need a trust that they will put in office themselves and they can question. You know, politics have become so lucrative that people who are in politics now buy Rolls Royce, they buy, you know, Beast, they buy private jets, you know, and they live lavishly. And public service sector is no longer working. And then even the private sector is not working enough because the people in politics are so comfortable that are not providing necessary amenities for private entities to thrive and survive, like energy and all that, and infrastructure that would aid goods and free movement of goods and services. So this electorate in FCT, I beg you now, it's about your lives. It's about how you see things. It's about, you know, that can come and create. Look at it. Look at it. You have to have a government in power. The AMAC, the revenue AMAC generate. I think it's only Lagos that is more than Ikeja local government that is more than AMAC in terms of local government revenue generation and location. And they get their money from direct light charge. Nobody stops them. Their money comes from a federation account directly. So they are not going to tell you they don't have resources. Where are the mass housing, even for the indigent, or for the people who stays here, to say this is mass housing that the AMAC have built? They are only interested in issuing tenement. What's that? Their own rate, tenement rate. It's tenement rate, and collecting money for television taxes. These are all the things AMAC is interested in. I've not seen any, you know, ambitious project by the past AMAC or the present one to warrant that they are working for you. So check the candidates and look at what they are saying and what they are offering. And sometimes take this decision for your own good and the good of your unborn children. You can see the whole world is reverting from mass immigration, both in Europe, both in America, because they feel you are not taking care of your country. So how do you think you can make theirs better? So we need to make our own better so that we too can one day say that there was a time Nigerians were sending people out of this country. I was already born. I saw it. It happened to Ghana. That's why Ghana must go. It happened to Ghanaians. Ghanaians are the ones with big men in our house, and because in an environment that gave them such to be able to elect credible leaders that will represent us in the FCT as 21st of February 2026. Because election matters. Democracy as a whole, as you see it, does not exist without election. Democracy stands on elections. And credible election is very important for democracy to call it democratic governance. If not, we will be in the state of nature where everything is about brutality, is about power, is about
Stone Age.
Stone Age. So that and that's why government was created, to be able to, you know, have regulations so that I respect you, I don't come to commit offense against you. There will be regulated.
You have your boundary.
There's a boundary. So
you have your right
so
to have
please, serious. It's not a small. Don't say it's area council. It's a big election. You can see the committee set up by all the political parties. You can see the FC. They have brought Kwara State governor. They have brought this one. They have brought. It's serious election. For them, it's about ego to say they won. For you, it's about your future. It's not about ego. It's not about whether any party won. It's about your future. It's about your ability to determine how the next generation will feel in the Federal Capital Territory. I came to FCT when public schools were wonderful, where, you know, generals and their big men in power in the military regime then of General Abacha were going to public schools. Gananasko Barrack, Mayong Barrack, Abacha Barracks, all these schools were all filled with their children. They were in government. But today, people who have now become democratic, there's no public school. None of their children go to this public school. The public schools have been abandoned. So do it for your own good. so that amenities can be provided, so that the market can even be made available for you to even be able to buy. Today, they build markets that is even the normal traders will not buy. It is the politician who will buy and rent to trade. So people's movement, 21st.
Time with August, you're planning the need for you to go out and cast your vote for candidate of your choice. Whether he wins or not is not the issue. Just go out and vote. That, to an extent, will change the system of governance. Once again, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we take a quick break, and we'll be going to Lagos to continue with the program this morning on ITV.
Many thanks, Joseph Kadri. We're still on CM Live, the continuation of news and current affairs program. I am Marcelina Unko. From our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning, we'll be talking about the deadly attacks in Niger State. It has sparked national outrage. We saw that at least 32 died after the attack in Niger State. This beautiful morning that will be helping us analyze this topic is Mr. Dakpo Adaramewa. Hello, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, today our main focus is on the growing wave of Niger State security. It means for Nigerians' broader insecurity landscape. In recent days, coordinated attacks on rural communities have left dozens dead, families displaced, and many others adopted. You know, for residents, this is just another headline. It is a lived reality of fear, uncertainty, and loss. You know, as Nigeria prepares for the forthcoming 2027 election, general election, insecurity has been a major problem, and is still a major problem in Nigeria. Okay, the question we ask today is that is the country turning the tide, or are we still reacting rather than preventing? I mean, we saw that the first batch of U.S. troops is on the papers, running 3 aircraft down country in the country. What is your take on that?
Well, I think it's always good to start conversations around this with a moment of recognition for the loss of human life and the families that are affected by these things. I think the U.S. was successful against insurgency in Iraq. So they failed woefully when they had their own entire military might. Will they be of use to us? I don't think so. I think...
So you don't think they're used to us?
The problem is it's not of military. It's not, we don't need military tactics. We don't need more equipment per se. What we need is the willingness to do what needs to be done, right? Which this government clearly lacks. I mean, I just incident under the kid, and then nothing the kid held on to them, but nobody was arrested, nobody went to jail. I'm sorry, but what did the government think? That they were going to return these kids and then retire and go into banking? Like, clearly they were going to come back and do something else. And this time they've come and they decided, you know what, maybe kidnapping is not enough. This time they came to kill, and they're going to come again. You see, it's so regular, it's so predictable that the response sheet from the presidency, I'm sure all they have to do is leave blank spaces, you know, because they have to read from the same hymn sheet so often. The president gives a charge to the security chiefs. When he wants to be dramatic, he will invite them all to Abuja, and they'll come, they'll have a roundtable meeting. Then they will go home again, and the same thing will happen a few months, sometimes a few days later, with predictable efficiency. In fact, if you want to be factual, I think the terrorists are a bit more consistent than this government because they are doing their own job. They're consistently achieving their goals. Who is failing? It's this government that's failing.
So the terrorists?
The terrorists are doing what they promised to do. They keep coming back. They keep killing our people. But the government is the one that cannot achieve its own goal. And it's a shame because I don't understand what kind of training or what kind of weapons that a bunch of, you know, uneducated terrorists will have that will rival the might of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the most powerful nation in West Africa? How is that possible? Except the fact that there's just no political incentive for these people to actually save the lives of these people, because they just don't consider them important. And it's very sad that they treat the poor people like that and then use the same very poor people to rig themselves back into power.
Talking about the poor people, why are communities still vulnerable? The fact that the government says it has intensified operations.
Because the operations are just absolute a farce, let's put it that way, right? Because, like I was saying, you can't, militarily, there's no reason why these terrorists should be able to ride their motorcycles into town. And there are no outposts, there are no police stops, there's nobody monitoring drones, monitoring chatter on phones. The whole MISS, the whole might of the force, and the most ridiculous incidents is they actually send letters before they come. But yet somehow, consistently, yes, they just the government keeps failing. So I think we need to ask ourselves, it's not a question of if the government can achieve, the question is why is the government consistently failing? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Is it intentional? Is it just that they are inept and they have nothing to offer Nigerians?
So do you think the government is working?
Right, it would be ignoring the evidence right before us. I think there was an incident where the president had put up offenses of saying their government is in cahoots with these people. But to deny the fact that elements of this government are working hand in hand, it would be denying the obvious. It's very clear to us to see and to know that this is happening.
Some precedents, Mr. Dakbo, are actually in support of this, that Nigerian help military entries and trade character and all of that. And you are saying now that it won't help. You think that is not what Nigeria needs at the moment?
No, it won't solve the problem. Okay, if you don't like cooking and somebody teaches you how to cook, it's not going to make a difference if you don't cook, right? So the willingness for the government to take the decisive action to go after the financiers of terrorism. Bear in mind, do you know how much an AK-47 is right now? And these people are carrying hundreds of them into battle. Somebody is financing. I assure you, it is not being financed by the things they are stealing from these poor villages. That definitely is not what's financing their operation. Somebody is in this operation. Why had that been arrested? Has the government not taken the decisive action that needs to be taken to solve this problem once and for all? You're telling me that these people are communicating via SIM cards and somehow we can't trace them? It's ridiculous to think that this is happening in Nigeria in 2026. But that's the government that we have. That's the government that we let take power.
So you mean, if I should understand what you're saying, that these people, if the government wants to capture them, it is very easy for them to capture them. But they are not just going to get them. Is it because you think they're actually benefiting from this whole thing, this whole insecurity thing that is happening in Nigeria?
War is business. War is good. People are making money off the war. Now, let's ask ourselves what I am saying, right? 300 plus people were kidnapped. They were returned. Nobody was arrested. Nobody went. You don't need to be a figure out that there was a line of communication between the federal government and these people, right? Or at least the state government and these people. Now, if that line of communication game are we
and I said, even to negotiate with bandits.
I mean, negotiate to save the lives of people if that's what you must do. Because if it was our family members, we would want the government to negotiate. But then when the negotiation is over, what happens then? Are you gonna fulfill your side of the bargain to terrorists? Or are you going to use the very lines of communications that you used to get in contact with them to trace them, find them, and kill them? So we need to find a permanent and also a structural solution to this problem. Because remember, these terrorists are recruiting from among our communities, from among Nigerians as well. So what are the conditions that is making it attractive for a young man to go and join a terrorist group? Right? And it's poverty, it's the lack of a structured education system. These are the things that are recruitment grounds for terrorism. Right? And they will continue that way until the government decides that rather than spending, I think it was 34 billion that it said they spent on international travel, why don't we get actually being kidnapped and then turned into terrorists? So it's a victims who are dying, but soldiers who are online. People's are being as a result of fighting for this country. What kind of equipment are they getting? What kind of pay are they getting? How protected are they by the government that they are fighting for, right? These are the things that need to change. We need to ensure that the troops are well funded, well fed. I've seen some videos online that I wouldn't feed that to an animal, let alone a human being. So our troops need to be well taken care of to ensure that they have every incentive to fight. And at the back of their mind, they need to be sure that the terrorists that they are fighting today and they die fighting today will not be forgiven tomorrow and allowed to walk the streets for free. Because if not, what was their sacrifice for? So there are certain things, state policing, ensuring that the troops at the front line are well taken care of, right? Particularly the young troops who are the ones doing the fighting, make sure that they're well taken care of, improve the security architecture, and finally, most importantly, arrest the people who are organizing and funding these terrorists, right? If you guys can catch a young boy hidden somewhere in the southeast, trust me, you can arrest the people that people can live long.
The allegations saying that the president was only interested, only got interested in those security shenanigans just because the U.S. president, got involved, because he got interested. So that was why the president was actually interested. Before he intervened, that the president wasn't like silent, but he was not this interested in the whole security problems or issues that I got interested as the U.S. president. In what would you have to say about agree with those speculation?
I think there was a lot more from the government. I think the First Lady traveled to the U.S. to an event to go, there's a lot more that's
some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Ugemobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari yari, Oba Tope! Yari yari,
Hello, welcome to the news update on Independent Television. I am Nuluwakpo Stevens. We begin here in Edo State, where the governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has been honored as Governor of the Year in Education at the 2025 New Telegraph Awards and Dinner Night. The ceremony was held at the Grand Ballroom of the Lagos Oriental Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos. The event attracted an array of dignitaries, political associates, family members, and supporters who gathered to celebrate the awardees' contributions to governance and national development. Government House correspondent Kinsley Uchebu reports.
Governor Okpebholo was recognized for his reforms and strategic investments in Edo State's education sector within his first year in office. The governor, who was represented by his chief of staff, Honorable Yakubu Musa, described the award as well-deserved and symbolic of the developmental strides recorded by the administration so far.
For just 1 year, the governor has come out receiving awards, and we're expecting more of it because this is just on education. We'll get more awards. So we want to commend the governor for his visionary leadership and for his boldness to do practical governance in Edo State.
Meanwhile, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who received the Man of the Year 2025 award, dedicated the honor to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, in appreciation of his mentorship and political support. Governors Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, Sheriff Oborewori of Delta State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, and Senator Hope Uzodinma of Imo State were also honored for their outstanding service to their states and the nation. Chairman of the occasion and former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, urged Nigerians not to lose hope despite prevailing national challenges. The Edo State delegation at the event included the Commissioner for Finance, Emmanuel Okoebo, Commissioner for Women Affairs, Mrs. Eugenia Abdallah, Commissioner for Environment, Nosa Adams, Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Prince Kasim Afebwa, and the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Dr. Patrick Ebojele, among others.
I pray that all the honorees today will use the honor as an opportunity to continue to support the development of this great country.
We call to more action. We're happy that when you do something that is good, you know, the world is watching and they recognize and appreciate what you do.
Kingsley Uche, ITV News.
Meanwhile, the hospitality sector in Benin City, Edo State, has received a tremendous boost, creating new opportunities for leisure, employment, and social interaction. Now, this growth was on Saturday highlighted with the grand opening of Fair Tea Cafe, a new addition to the city's hospitalities landscape. Dolan Eyemiye tells us more.
In the name of God the Father, in the name of God the Son, and in the name of God the Holy Spirit.
The grand opening of Fair Tea Cafe at number 1 Isibo Street off Ahionbari, Upper Adesua Road, GRA, Benin City underscores the growing relevance of hospitality businesses to urban development. The event attracted guests from different walks of life, featuring tours of the cafe and sampling of its major menu. Management and guests note that beyond serving refreshments, the cafe is positioned to promote relaxation, social bonding, and job creation, reinforcing hospitality as a key driver of economic development and quality lifestyle in the city.
Fair Tea Cafe is not just a lounge, it's a home away from home. It's a home that looks into the well-being its customers, a place created just to be able to unify people, come around, study, have that calm and cozy space where you can take coffee for men or women who are coffee lovers.
We are a brand with definition, detail, and we hope that this opening will give a new revealing reality towards a cafe eats in the destination.
It's a place to come and unwind, right? Like if you notice, this is like the first Arabian tea spot in Benin, and it's the best. We have different types of food, different types of tea, so just expect the best.
I would encourage people as much as possible. If you're looking for that place of comfort, Fair Tea Cafe is the place to be.
The opening marks another step in positioning the city as a thriving hub for modern leisure and good lifestyle. From Benin, Donant Eyemiye, ITV News.
The Odiawe of Oba Zagbo community in Iyekogba Oredo local government area of Edo State, Pa Pelin Oba Yuana, has performed Iwa Nedion, known as the worship of the ancestors of the community. Ikwamusa Ugiagbe reports that natives of Oba Zagbo community joined their Odiawe at the Igwedon for the ceremony.
Invocation of gods and ancestors of Oba Zagbo community in Iyekogba, Oedo local government area of Edo State by the Odionwe Pa Pulin Oba Yowana. He thereafter offered prayers to them for guidance and protection of the people, peace and progress of the community. Pa Pulin Oba Yowana, who thanks His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedu Uko Akpolokpolo Oba Ewaye II for honoring him with the appointment as Odionwe of Oba Zagbo, reiterated his compassionate appeals to the natives and others who fled in the wake of crisis to return, adding that prospective developers are also welcomed back to Oba Zagbo community. Others said the reign of Pa Pulin Oba Yowana as Odionwe of Oba Zagbo has brought peace in the community.
Odionwe Oredomwe Ejo Nebuna Yama Ewake Mano Gwale Uto no do ya bowa no ho no gwale alagoda Oba Zagbo wa ya de Oba Zagbo ofure ro ne o.
Ever since he has been Odionwe and celebrating everything together, it has been a wonderful Odionwe. Oba Zagbo must be peaceful. If you have a property, come and work. You want to buy land, come. So if you have a land, you have an issue on it, come to the community, we will rectify it. So Oba Zagbo is a peaceful community.
From Oba Zagbo, Iyekogba in Oedo local government area, Ikmomosa Ugiagbe, ITV News.
Away from that now to other stories where the President Neo Black Movement of Nigeria Worldwide Vietnam Chapter, Ambassador Wisdom Amaibu, has adjoined the wealthy to at all times remember to give out as a way of putting smiles on the faces of the less privileged and the downtrodden to make them have a sense of belonging. This was contained in a Valentine goodwill message to his members in Benin City while showing love to some orphanages and the needy during the day, courtesy distribution of food items and others. Efosa Awangwe has more.
Valentine's Day, which is observed as a day to extend love to one another, saw the New Black Movement of Africa Worldwide Benin City using the opportunity to distribute gifts to orphanages. Some of the benefiting orphanages are Iwinosa, Cold Homes, and Counseling, where different food items like rice and indomie were given to them. Some needy persons at Mission Road were not left out of the MBM show of love as they were given cooked food items to whet their appetite. The President, New Black Movement of Africa Worldwide Vietnam Chapter, Ambassador Wisdom Amayao, said since Valentine's Day is to show love, behold the movement to do the same to the less privileged, especially in its root. He said giving back to the society and gifting the less privileged will not only put smiles on their faces, but make them have a sense of belonging. Some members of the MBM who were on the ground for the distribution of the various gifts in Benin said the movement stands for love, compassion, and supporting the needy as it remains their watchword.
On behalf of Vietnam Zone, MBM of Africa, we are here to support with these packs of rice and the cartons of Indomie. We know the present situation now is not so easy, but the government cannot do it all. We just use this media to support the orphans.
This Valentine, we have to show our love to the loved ones. So that is the reason why we decided to present this gift to the orphanage.
Representatives of the various orphanages visited expressed how happy they are while showering praises on the New Black Movement for their generosity, especially the President of the Vietnam Chapter, Ambassador Wisdom Amayao.
Thank you very much. We say may God bless you. Our children here, all of them, we say thank you.
On behalf of the management and the children of Iwinosa Orphanage, we love you people.
Although the observance of Valentine's Day may have come and gone, the joy the benefiting orphanages derive from the various gifts will continue to linger. From Benin, Efosa Uwangwe, ITV News.
A social dance has been held in honor of late Victoria Idehe in Benin City. The occasion, held at the premises of the University of Benin Ekawa campus, was attended by family members and guests. Jonah Omorua completes the story.
The children and family members of late Victoria Idehe celebrated the life and times of their mother. As a mark of honor, several friends and guests also joined in the celebration. The event, which was not a speech-making one, was characterized by singing, dancing, and entertainment. Some children and family members eulogized the life and times of their late mother.
She was the mother of all. She's my mother to the core, to the bone marrow of mine. I will keep on remembering her.
My mother was a great mother, a kind mother, a favoring mother. In short, I don't know how to describe my mother. My mother is a very kind mother and a peaceful mother.
She's supreme, she's extreme, like she's adorable, she's the best, she's lovely. She's nice, she's all we've got, and it's so painful that our backbone, our matriarch, just left us behind. But our legacy will always remain with us.
Late Victoria Idehe passed away at the age of 87. From Benin, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
Now the news, some clergymen in Benin City have been encouraged to encourage Christians to abstain from sinful acts in order to receive answers to their prayers. Jonah Omorua, who sampled the opinions of some clergymen in Benin City on factors responsible for unanswered prayers, has the details.
Unanswered prayers are prayers that have not received the desired response or outcome. It is like sending a message and waiting for a reply that does not come. This scenario has left most believers in Christ who claim they have prayed fasted, observed vigils, and visited several mountains for months and years, wondering why their prayers, despite giving it all attention it deserves, are not getting the desired results. Commenting on the issue, some clergymen in Benin City, Pastor Nicholas Jose Kayodele, Apostle Dr. Dixon Agbonwaneten, Reverend Benson Ogeriahi, and Reverend Paul Ekeas, attribute some factors that could be responsible for the hindrance.
Number one is that your prayer must be of faith. Number two, outside faith, you must learn to have what they call belief. Faith is not same as belief. Faith is responding to what you believe.
Most people live in sin and they still want God to hear their prayers. So the major hindrance to prayer is sin.
Asking that means there another one is unbelief, doubt.
Number one is sin, S-I-N. Disobedient to God. You cannot be asking God to do something for you, whereas you are not obeying Him.
The respondent advised believers in Christ experiencing unanswered prayers to properly check their lives to see where they are missing it.
When you pray according to the will of God, everything is answered. So you must depend on the Spirit, depend on your faith, depend on cast away doubt, and above all, believe that there is a God.
It's not pastor that will answer your prayer. They will only join you to pray. But the person to answer your prayer is God.
They were also of the view that Christians should keep trusting God and seek guidance from His words. From Benin, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
And that ends the news at this time. Thanking you for watching. Up next is TMI Socials.
ITV, certainly the best.
Good morning. It's a new week. This is TMI Socials. I am Anuoluwapo Stevens. Or better still, call me your social media butterfly. Now, guess what? We kickstart in Kebbi, where over the weekend we saw the 61st Agurungu International Fishing Festival officially started on Saturday at Mata Fada in Agurungu town, Kebbi State, with the festival's largest catch of fish weighing 59 kilograms. Now, the special advisor on media and public communications, Sunday Shagari revealed the record in a statement on Saturday afternoon, highlighting the impressive scale of this year's competition. And we also had President Bola Tinubu attend the event. Let's have a feel of how it went down at Kebbi State over the weekend. Take a look. Well, wondering who caught the largest, the biggest fish at the event? Take a look at the winner. How did you take this online? Let's have a couple of tweet and reactions. We'll start off with this one on X, who wrote, Big Kenny, I actually thought it was a flood and that people were running for safety. Wow, this is so much people for a festival. Well, the North has something peculiar about them. Now, this user, the Inksmith, wrote, always a beauty to behold, especially when one sees the massive fishes caught during the festival. Another user reacting to this says, didn't know this festival is still on. It is a very thing in Kebbi State, where we're looking forward to the continuity of the festival. Away from that, let's talk politics. As over the weekend, we saw Peter Obi, the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, saying that the federal government doesn't want him to run as a presidential aspirant in any political party in Nigeria. Well, let's take a look at him speak.
Why are you scared? Why are you scared? If you don't know today, the federal government of Nigeria does not want me, Peter Obi, to be a candidate of any party, but I'll be candidate.
It seems we are seeing a new dimension of Peter Obi we've never seen before, and I'm sure Nigerians are loving it this time. How did you take this online? We'll have tweets and reactions. We'll start off this one who wrote, finally, he is woken up. You can't take back this country from APC gently. Now by fire, by force. It's all right. Another user wrote on X, this is the Peter Obi I longed for. Not the my respected elder brother gentleman. You don't joke with. Okay. Anyway, still on the story, this user wrote, Nigerians and sentiment. Did federal government send him to ADC? Let ADC give him automatic ticket first, cause I don't understand he has positioned himself for a big battle in ADC. Let him face that one squarely first and win the ticket. Only then I will know he is ready. Well, 2027 is going to be so sweet, especially in the political scene. Away from that, let's move over to South Africa on a lighter note, where the police in South Africa has arrested a female suspect in connection with the murder of Isaac Satellite, a 22-year-old Nigerian e-hailing driver in Pretoria West. Now, Satellite was reportedly killed on February 11th after picking up passengers who had requested his services. Well, this late student, he was a student in South Africa, and he was due for graduation in March. His death has sparked outrage and renewed conversations times about xenophobic attacks on Nigerians and other South Africans and other foreigners rather in South Africa. Well, let's take a listen to one of his family members speak on this tragic incident.
Isaac was a peaceful person, very respectful. He's honest person. He's so dream.
You told me he dreamed of working on cars. He was studying motor engineering or mobile engineering.
Yeah, presently he's studying mobile engineering, and he's due to graduate next month. And this happened to him. Isaac loves cars. He's peaceful, he's kind, he's friendly. People love him. He's a champion. He champions his friends all around. Everybody, anywhere he goes, people love him. People like to be around him. Till the day he died, he was with his friends. Till the last minute, he was with his friends. He just went to hustle to become a person, a responsible person.
He's a hard-working young man, as you describe him. As the family, what do you make of the brutal manner of his death, especially when he was just out doing his job?
This is quite...
Well, may his soul rest in peace. Amen. Let's have tweets to this tragic story. This one wrote, South Africa used to be my favorite country because I love Bender Fairs. Growing up to see how much hate they have for Nigerians is heartbreaking. May the souls of that man rest in peace. Nigerians still in South Africa need to leave or move away from the areas that commit this crime. Another user reacting on X, certainly Nigerian, this one says, I asked again, what is in South Africa that Nigerians go there and do? I can never travel to South Africa, even though it's free visa, tickets, and accommodation. Now, finally, on the story, this user reacting wrote, you never see anything. Why did you go to South Africa? The owners of the land said they don't want Nigerians in their country, but you're still going. Anything your eyes see, not your business. Well, it's really sad, and I want to believe that the South African government do the needful and bring justice to the young man who lost his life. Sadly, we end on this note today on TMI Socials. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Anwoluwakwo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, Lagos, Abuja, and right here in the Edo State, please stay safe.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
some days, there comes the Ugemobo festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate.